Good morning, everybody. We got a lot to cover today. Thank you. It is so nice to see this room full with all the wonderful people I'm looking at. We got a great topic today, so as you settle in, enjoy breakfast. You know, the one thing I notice is it is an open bar, but it's only coffee, right? And drink. No, nothing behind the bar, just stay in front of the folks. So, welcome to the Sonoma County Alliance. Good morning. Thank you for your support. We have a fantastic and exciting program today. My name is Paul Yeomans, and I am your current president for 2024. So before we begin, Chris Wilson, if you could lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Chris. So, in honor of our original indigenous inhabitants, I share the following land acknowledgement. As persons living in Sonoma County, and in gratitude we recognize that we are on the ancestral lands of the coastal Miwok, Pomo, and Wapu, who are the original caretakers of this area. We respectfully acknowledge the indigenous people who have been stewards and have been maintaining relationships on this land as knowledge keepers from the land. So celebrating diversity is important to the county and is aspirational for Sonoma County. March is Women's Month, Women's History Month. I got to get the stutters out and I'll get better, I promise. Sonoma County Alliance began celebrating diversity 3 years ago, and every month we try to show our diversity within the county, and our DEI community has really done a wonderful job in developing this. Sonoma County is rich from the work of many women leaders who have preceded us. For example, in the Press Democrat, Latina social advocate Maria Rifo, Edie Mae Sloan, a leader for the War on Poverty in Sonoma County, Elsie Allen, a Pomo basket weaver and namesake for Elsie Allen High School, and Helen Putton, who is the county's first female mayor in 1966. In the honor of and to celebrate Women's History Month, here at the Sonoma County Alliance, our DEA committee has created a video based on interviews with a couple local businesswomen. So I'd like to introduce Kathy Goodacre, who is the CEO of CTE, who will be on the video. Is Kathy here? Thank you, Kathy. We also have Brianna Econadin, the Chief Human Resource Officer of Northern California for Providence. Is Brianna here this morning? Hello, Brianna. So with that, please enjoy the video.
Really acknowledging and recognizing that if we're going to get real work done and problem solve, that we have to really think about who are the partners or the stakeholders, or probably more importantly, who are those that will be most impacted when the decisions are made at the table.
When you're working on something in a silo and not working with others, you're really limited to your own creativity. And in collaborative experiences, I'm always surprised at what we can do and accomplish, and being able to think outside the box or draw on people's different backgrounds and experiences.
And we developed the portrait of a graduate for Sonoma County, And one of 6 attributes amongst all the input that we received across the county is collaboration. So I just thought that it's great that it's one of the values for Sonoma County Alliance, and that it is also a value that is highly regarded and needed and necessary for young people to thrive in the world of work or post-secondary education.
When I think about collaboration, I think about people who don't have that seat or voice, and how to pull in their concerns, their perspectives, and the need to maybe collaborate on their behalf in terms of advocacy. So I always have a lens of inclusion, and I'm also an introvert at heart, so I also think about those people that don't tend to speak up all the time, and giving space for those who may not have the largest voice in the room.
Thank you, ladies. All right, so I'd like to thank Don and Alejandro for sound ideas for video taping every month, also supplying his beautiful beer as a gift to guests. I want to thank our sustained members for everything you do. As you know, this is a volunteer organization. We have many committees, and to the video, to what Brianna said, collaboration, diversity, the youth coming forward and working with some of us little aging people, bring a new insight to what we need to know about the county and how to move this Sonoma County Alliance forward. So I'd like to encourage new members to reach out, participate in one of our committees. New ideas, approaches, experiences are always needed to be relevant and help us to be current in the county. So with that, I would like to bring up Ty, our executive director, and welcome back.
Good morning, everyone. I'm glad to be back. I want to give a big thank you to all the board members and volunteers who helped kind of fill my spot while I was gone. I'm really grateful to have leadership that cares and is passionate and that's willing to step in when we need it most. So thank you. I really enjoyed my maternity leave. Also, thank you to our renewing members. It's the membership, the commitment, the support that really steers the ship. So if you're not a member, please consider joining. I also want to offer a big welcome to our new members. I know we have some in the room. Thanks for joining and bringing your voice here. And of course, I had to show you the newest member. Back to business. I'm excited to be back. There's a lot of exciting stuff up and coming. We have a great program today. Thanks to the program committee and Dana for getting it together. And then next month we have a transportation program with James. He's the head of transportation for Sonoma County. We're excited for that. And Skate Pack Golf Tournament is coming up. There's registration available on our website. It's set for May 2nd. We also have a follow-up program. It's a workshop from the last program we had with Ryan and Josh at WSI. Ryan, are you here? I don't know if Ryan's here today. But they're going to run a hands-on workshop on AI, so you could bring your laptop and actually implement some best practices for your business to enhance efficiency. That's up and coming. We don't have a date yet because he's actually developing this program for our members, and then he's going to take it to a broader scale, so our members get exclusive access. When that does come out, I'll give you date and location, and I hope to see you all there. Outside of that, I'm going to pass it to Paul because I want to give as much time as possible for this presentation. I know it's meaty and I want to give time for questions. So thank you.
Having her back means a lot, especially to me. So thank you. All right, so introductions. We're going to do introductions as we always do. As we walk around, and Ty will help. As she comes to your table, please stand and introduce yourself. Please keep it short, because we got a lot to do. If you're a guest, please provide a business card, and we actually have wine and beer for drawing after the introductions. I'm Paul Yeomans. I work at Exchange Bank. I'm the Senior Vice President of Commercial Lending. And I have a guest today, The guest is Jack Bryan, President and owner of Navigate Inc. He has 25 years of experience as a CEO and COO and is now here moving from Seattle to the North Bay. And he has his own business, obviously, to support CEOs and owners to help move their businesses forward with all his experience. So Jack, could you stand, please?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Dana Ghirardelli, Executive Director of the Sonoma County Farm Bureau. I'll let the panelists introduce themselves, but I want to introduce my guest today, which is Matt Ellis with Sonoma Raceway.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Nicholas Hernandez. I'm a Vineyard Manager for Bell Vineyard Management.
My name's Gordon Mar, chicken farmer in Petaluma.
Jennifer Beretta, 4th generation dairy farmer in Santa Rosa.
Matt Ellis, Director of Business Development, Sonoma Raceway.
Nick Reardon from Clover, Sonoma.
Hannah Stefanoni from Clover, Sonoma.
Good morning. I'm Mick Menendez, Pacific Advisors. I have 2 guests this morning. We're pleased to welcome the new executive editor for the Press Democrat, Chris Fusco, to Cusco. Big shoes to fill.
Just call me back.
And our editorial director, Jim Sweeney.
Scott Kincaid, Facility Development Company and Sonoma County Alliance Political Action Committee Chair.
Hi, I'm Lisa Hinton. I live in Sebastopol. I'm on the city council there, and I run 2 assisted living facilities with a specialty in memory care, locally owned. Thanks.
Dennis Harder, retired. Howard Elton, Exchange Bank Advisory Board, do a little work for Boleto Vineyards and Winery and other things. Thank you.
Good morning, Janice Morrison, Bright Ideas. And Patty Oliver, Bright Ideas. Good morning, Janet Connors, Summit State Bank, and my guest this morning is Brianna Icado.
Good morning, Lisa Carino, United Way, the White Country.
Chris Wilson with the Historic Railroad Square Association.
Art Dexter, Leduc and Dexter, the Super Service Plan. Ross Oscom, Real Estate Broker, Century 21, Epic.
Ken LaFranchi, Architect.
Judy Grossman Walker, JGW Events.
Tony Spisman, 707 Promotions.
Good morning, Dick Dowd, past president and current chairman of the Sonoma County Alliance Water Supply Committee.
Harry Davidian, Intech Power Services.
Good morning, Mike Martini, Taft Street Winery, and I have a very special guest, our 5th District Supervisor, Linda Hopkins.
Roy Martinez, Exit Strategies Group, and I have a guest today. His name is Jaco Grobelar from Broad Vision Marketing.
Chuck McPherson, Lead Solutions Group.
Jack Byrne, Navigate Inc.
Pete Lescure, Lescure Engineers.
Steve Berlow with Friends of Smart.
If your guest put a tag in here, there's wine and beer, and it's going to be a boring raffle with 2 people.
Gary Arabian with CBRE, Commercial Real Estate Brokerage.
Frank Pipgras, Commercial Real Estate.
I'm Rob Sanville with KLH Consulting, and I have a special guest here, Dan, who is from
Morgan Stanley.
There you go.
Don Mills from Radius Media.
Good morning, Linda Bone, Summit State Bank.
Good morning, I'm Sean Loring, and that's Chuck Rubin.
What does Chuck always say? He's always trying to hit me.
Anyway, I'm Chuck Root, Double Eagle Financial, where cash is still king. And I have a guest, Sean Loring, with Freedom and Goldberg, top grade attorneys up here.
All right, thank you.
My name is Chris Biscalini. I represent the commercial banking practice for Comerica Bank in the North Bay. Marcelo Agnes with BC Engineering Group.
Andrew Lewis, also with BC Engineering Group.
Carly Rodriguez, Mid-State Construction.
Mark Nelson, Mid-State Construction.
Eric Schnees, Golden State Lumber.
Rick Carlisle, BKF Engineers.
Kurt Nichols, retired past president.
Jason Lee, Sonoma County Office of Education, where kids are king.
Brandon Jewell with Career Technical Education Foundation.
Good morning, Kathy Goodacres, CTE Foundation.
Hi, Andrea Cohen, Chief Philanthropy Officer of Boys and Girls Clubs of Sonoma and Marin.
Good morning, Stacy Powers from Exchange Bank, Commercial Lending Team.
Scott Appen, Summit State Bank.
Danny Sheehan, Friends of Smart and board member. Jen Collini, Leap Solutions Group.
Tracy Russo, Hogan Land Services.
Crystal Vegas, 707 Promotions.
Good morning, Kevin Jones from Fast Signs of Santa Rosa.
Make sure you put your cards in, guys.
John Adai, Leap Solutions Group.
Tia Peterson, CFA Structural Engineers.
We are guests of Diva Marie Proto, Amanda King, Chief Deputy Clerk Recorder, and Rhiannon Yeager, Chief Deputy Assessor.
Marlene Soyland Management.
Good morning, David Brown, Adobe Associates, Civil Engineers and Land Surveyors.
Hello, Bruce Holder, Holder Vineyard, small vineyard owner out in West County.
Good morning, Ann Moorkill, the Executive Director of the Laguna de Santa Rosa Foundation.
Good morning, Ernest Berghoff, broker and CEO at Berghoff Realty. Gary Lentz, Loan Depot Home Mortgage. Victor McKnight, Risk Strategies, and I have two guests to introduce. Dennis Wilkinson, DNS Awards, everybody knows Dennis, and Matt Barrington, the new owner of DNS Awards.
Good morning, Lori Rooney, North Bay Biz Magazine.
Rosie Padilla, North Bay Biz Magazine.
Nick Caston, Financial Prodigy, and I have a guest with me, Jake Kinza with Fortis Security Group.
Mark Hale, Carlisle Macy.
Mike Benedetti from Clover Sonoma.
Trish Griffiths with the Personnel Perspective, and I have a guest with me today, Chris Kangas from Bonovia Winery, Vineyard Manager.
Hi, Tawny Tisconi, Tisconi Event Management Solutions, and interim CEO at the Napa County Farm Bureau for today. And Ben Hampton is my guest. He's with Sequoia Computers and an old 4-H'er.
Drip Agent, ZFA Structural Engineers.
Kevin Zuko, ZFA Structural Engineers and board member.
James Gore, Sonoma County Supervisor.
Buenos dias, summer guest, Herman J. Hernandez.
Jenny Chamberlain, Chief of Staff to Supervisor James Gore.
Samantha Rodriguez, Executive Director of the Grayton Day Labor Center and Mayor Emeritus of Roanoke Park.
Steve Click, Bauer Associates.
Mark Stapp, Sonoma State and Santa Rosa City Council.
Keith Roberts with Supervisor Gore's District 4 Office and guest.
Thank you for bringing guests, and if you are not a member, please consider joining. We are growing this membership, and it's important that we have representation, so please bring your friends. Let's make informed decisions together.
Yeah.
Don't say that, it's not 2 cards. 2 cards. She's cheating. I did not see. All right, we've got, whoops, Jason.
Jake from EST and Rihanna Yeager, Sonoma County.
First one gets to pick, so.
It's amazing how quickly they start walking up when they know the first one gets to choose. I love it. All right, to the important things. So I'd like to welcome Deanna Garadelli. She grew up in Marin, 1 mile from Sonoma County. Graduated from Tamales High School, then earned a bachelor degree of science of agriculture at Chico State. She started her career with UC Cooperative Extension as the dairy program representative for Sonoma County and Marin counties, then eventually spent 12 years with Clover Sonoma as their producer relations manager. Just before COVID, Dana took a job with the California Milk Advisory Board, serving as the director of producer relations for 2.5 years before becoming Sonoma County's executive director for the Farm Bureau. That's a lot. Wow. With that, I'd like to introduce Dana to come up to the podium and introduce the panel and get the program started. Thank you, Dana.
So we're starting. Okay, thank you. I kind of felt like I was going to be like Linus from Charlie Brown up here with all these papers, so bear with me. So before I bring up the panel, do we need to, where are we at with, up here, I'm not seeing. Sorry. Did you press the button? I did not. Linus, anything else? Good to you. Oh. You're right. It's me.
Oh, wow.
That's all you want. I know. Sorry, I have.
Bird's eye view from the 172.
Using the two vaccine stuff here. I'm trying to think what I had over here. Alright, I'm going to do this. Okay. Tell some jokes, Steve? Maybe I can just start without slides. I got my slides right here with my notes. So.
We have the slides, but go for it.
I just thought that we would start this program today, and here's the other thing, guys. I'm learning the whole when the glasses go on, when the glasses go off. So forgive me. It's the new thing for me, so forgive me for those interruptions. But I just thought we'd start the program off today with just kind of some basic overview about Sonoma County agriculture. And of course, 45 minutes really isn't a fair amount of time to be able to talk about all of Sonoma County agriculture, its wonderful attributes, all that it contributes, its challenges that it faces. But we're hoping that today we've pulled together some topics that I think are probably front of mind for many or those who are definitely within our industry, right? So again, here we go with the glasses. Okay, I got it. So we'll just start with how agriculture compares, just kind of nationwide, statewide, and within the county. So California is the #1 ranking state for agriculture. It's followed in order by Iowa, Nebraska, Texas, and then Illinois. California agriculture is a $59 billion a year industry with 69,000 farms and ranches. And our county ranking here in California is we're the 16th largest county for agriculture. And agriculture is one of the leading industries in Sonoma County with a total production value of almost $8 million, and that's based on just our 2022 Sonoma County crop report. So I thought I'd pull up the our seal, our county seal, and just to recognize that there's 3 main components and tenets that Sonoma County is important to them, and what's listed first, of course, agriculture. Okay, so just thought I'd pull up from the crop report, somewhat in order of value from 2022. These are all the different commodities or crops that are reported on with the crop report. So the point of this slide is to show the diversity, right, that we have here in Sonoma County. It's pretty amazing the food shed that we're able to offer our community and beyond. So to just kind of offer some general agricultural facts, less than 2% of the population feeds our nation. And based on the population increases, by 2050, the world's farmers will need to grow 70% more food than produced now to feed all of the people. In 2022, farmers and ranchers received 14.9 cents out of every dollar spent on food, and only a few years prior it was 29 cents. 93% of all farms in California are family owned, and 96% are family owned in the nation. 25% of our farmers are beginning farmers, which means they've been in that business for less than 10 years, and the average age is 46 years old. In 2022, the average age of farmers in the US was 59, and in California it's 60. And a lot of that reason is because the next generation is watching how hard it is becoming to grow food for our nation with regulations and low returns. I guess some of these kids are getting smarter, but we're definitely not, it's a negative effect for the rest of us. We need our food. Most citizens today are 3 generations removed from the farm, which creates a disconnect of where food comes from and an understanding of where that source is. And then agriculture's contribution to the total inventory of greenhouse gases in the US is only 10%, and animal agriculture is less than 5%. So just to kind of put a list of some of the threats and challenges, and I think this list it's really not in any particular order because they're constantly threats, but their prioritization may change depending on what the issues are at the time. But this just kind of shows, kind of the basic list, or our continuous list: water, labor force, regulations, consumer ignorance and misinformation, cost of production, threat of wildfires, our lack of animal protein processing facilities here locally, and predators. And Tawny, I'm sure this slide looks really familiar. Okay. Tawny created that slide before I came on board. So at this time, I'd like to bring up our panelists, Jordan Mart, Jennifer Beretta, and Nicholas Hernandez Ramirez, to join me, please. I'm really excited to have this group here with us. We talk about the next generation that might be looking for other opportunities. This is our next generation. So it's kind of a fun panel to have here today. Not necessarily the owners of their companies, but the owners of the children and the next generation of leaders within the companies they work for. So really grateful to hear today. So I'm going to ask each of them to introduce themselves.
Good morning, everyone. Again, I'm Nicholas Hernandez. I work for Bell Vineyard Management. I've been there for about almost 10 years now. I started as a field worker there, and I went to school and went to JC, then get a degree in AA there in viticulture, and then transferred to Fresno State, where I got my Bachelor of Science in Viticulture, which I then got back to Belleville Vineyard Management, and did an assistant supervisor for a few years, and eventually became a supervisor / manager, which I'm currently farmed for about a little over 300 acres in Dry Creek area, and all the way up to Rock Pile, and also a little bit in Alexander Valley as well. So.
My name is Jennifer Beretta. I'm a 4th generation dairy farmer in Santa Rosa, not too far from here. I'm fortunate to farm with my dad and my brother, and my grandpa's still on the farm. He drives around in his golf cart to make sure things are still good. I went to Annalee High School, went to our junior college for 2 years, where I then transferred to Chico State. At the time, their dairy just went organic, and our dairy was going through the process of transitioning to organic. So it was the best fit for me. Graduated with an animal science degree and came home in 2010 and have been working at the dairy since. I do all of our organic paperwork, calf management. I also help my mom's dairy out in Marin County with their organic paperwork, and a couple other dairymen in the area with their paperwork as well. I've sat on the Sonoma County Farm Bureau Board for over 8 years now, and was fortunate to sit on the California Farm Bureau Board for 1 year.
My name is Jordan Mar. I am a third generation, technically, chicken farmer in Petaluma. I work alongside my 3 brothers and my father. He is still very much the boss, but we try and keep him away from it as much as possible nowadays. I grew up in Petaluma, raised on the farm, went to Cal Poly, got an agriculture engineering degree. Then I recently got my master's from Sonoma State in their nighttime program. Once I moved back, I had a little stint at Foster Farms out of college because my dad firmly believed you need to learn somewhere else and not just on me. So did that, have been back at the farm for about 8 years and really trying to shape what agriculture is today and how we're very divided from where our food comes from. Thank you.
Well, thank you guys for taking the time today, and so we're just going to jump right into it. And I know there's been a handful of headline issues that are for Sonoma County agriculture, so we have you here, Jordan, so we're going to go right to it. The avian flu. The avian flu devastated our local poultry industry with over 1 million birds being euthanized by USDA and CDFA mandates and standards. So Jordan, can you give us a glimpse into what the last 3 months have been like for you and your colleagues?
Morbid. Honestly, one of the most depressing times of my life. It's definitely brought some emotions that I've never thought I had on. If you get the disease, even if one bird becomes positive, the government comes in, USDA and CDFA kind of take over everything and tell you how it's going to be done, and they forcibly make you euthanize all of your birds on your ranch. There's no questions about it. Like, you can't argue it. And it's all based off of political trade and international export markets is the reason we can't have a vaccine. So it's a heavily politicized topic that impacts farmers, and it's very far out of our control.
So Jordan, can you kind of give us a glimpse into like what's your intention for repopulation? Like, when can you start that? When will you be back at full production? Is there anything in sight that you can offer?
Actually, we just had a very big day yesterday. We got to get a group of baby chicks back on one of our ranches that we lost. The employees are happy. We were happy. We celebrated together. It's a little step. It's going to be about 2 years to get back to where we were. You can't just go buy baby chicks and redo it. It's a long, very long, hard, burden process. But our employees are happy, and we're doing it together with them, so we're thankful for them.
Awesome, congratulations. Glad to hear that. So, along you said that about employees, can you just kind of give a glimpse into, not just necessarily your facility, but just with all of the facilities, poultry facilities, like with employees and trying to, I know you guys are trying to help each other out with moving employees around. So how's it been for your workforce and being able to bring them back over time and whatnot?
We are fortunate that we have a very long-standing relationship with our employees. We have honestly very little turnover because if you look at my hands, I'm out there every day with our employees, and it's really a respect level that we have with them. We are on the same level, we do the same work. I would never ask anyone to do a different job that I wouldn't do. And so, because of that respect we have for them, we are actually not getting rid of any of our employees, even though it's going to be very hard financially for us, but it's hard for them, and it'd be harder for them if we gave them up. So we really are keep doing everything we can to keep our full staff on and figure out things for them to do and keep their families employed and keep their health care, because it's very important in today's day and age.
Absolutely. So along the lines of some labor things that have touched the industries as of late, so Jennifer, hot seat. The agriculture overtime exemption law with good intention was changed, and now farming operations must honor a 40-hour work week. With dairy being a 24/7, 365 business, how has this affected your family's operation, and how has it affected your employees?
Yeah, so for any of you that don't know, our overtime laws have changed for agriculture. We used to be able to work a 60-hour work week, so that was 6 days a week, 10-hour days. And as Dana mentioned, dairy does not stop. We are a 365-day-a-year business. We do not stop on Christmas. I wish the cows did, but they don't. And our milk shift alone is a 10-hour milk shift. Other dairies, they could be more or less depending on how many animals. So for us, we actually brought on another employee because we changed the way, as we saw this overtime having to phase itself out to that 40-hour work week. We went on for 3 full-time milkers, so we run a 4 on, 2 off. It's just a continuous rotation, so really nobody has a set weekend. It's really been working nice for the employees. They all kind of have different days. Everyone gets a weekend when it gets to that rotation. The hardest part is we do really need one more employee to actually make this work. So we have thought, as this comes into full term, does that mean that I'm getting up earlier to put the machines up and those employees are stopping at that hard 8-hour workday? Now, that's not what my dad wanted. That's, I don't think, what this was intended for, but we cannot afford to pay the overtime at that extra 2 hours. We are price takers, and so when our costs go up, we don't just get to go to the creamery and say we need more. We have conversations with them, they work with us, they know all the issues, but I don't get to put a price tag on it. Where some industries, when costs go up, they can change that price. So we've had to look at it. One of the things is if we do bring on a 4th full-time milker, where do we house them? We house all of our employees on farm, except for recently, our 3rd milker does live in town now, and we are paying almost double the salary just so they can afford to live in town. That's new for us. We've never done that. We always house everyone on farm, but it costs too much. The permitting process here in Sonoma County is very difficult. Just to put a new modular on is extremely hard and very much out of our cost realm. So we've decided to see if paying them off farm works. My dad does not like that. I don't like that. I enjoy them on farm. 2 of our employees have been there over 30 years with us. So that's just how ours work. We do have a part-time calf feeder. I feed calves and he feeds calves when I'm at stuff like this. And he does live on farm. He's been with us the longest, but I think there was unintended consequences that happen with this because for us, we cannot pay that overtime. It will be extremely detrimental to our business. And our employees, they liked having that 6-hour work or that 10-hour work day. It was more money for them. Now they're seeing their paycheck lower and they're wondering what's going on. And so we are having to bring in people to interpret, why the change in their salary or in their paycheck by this time.
Sorry, I just want to interject on the part that Jen said about price takers. If you don't know, fluid milk, eggs, and many other agriculture products are actually commodities that are, just like the oil markets, they go up and down, and everything is based off that. So in our county, we're very small in the realm of eggs and other agriculture products produced, and so those markets dictate what we will get paid, and then everything works backwards to what we get paid. After the producer, the creamery, the stores, and everyone takes their price cut.
Thanks. Nicholas.
So,
oh no, I got another question for you. There tends to be a lot of focus on vineyard labor here in the county. We see some great stories like the recent recognition for Employee of the Year by the Sonoma County Fundación de la Voz de las Viñedas, awarded to Yolanda Cruz, a 23-year employee for Redwood Empire Vineyard Management, who became a supervisor in 2011 and actually started the first all-women harvesting crew. Conversely, however, there are also allegations of employee mistreatment, which our local vineyard industry has to contend with. As a first-generation college graduate in your family and now a manager for Bevel Vineyard Management, can you shed some light on how you see these challenges and how you're overcoming them?
So, in the vineyard industry, it can be very challenging as far as labor is very hard to find nowadays. Just like at dairy, they run into that same issue. It's hard to come and get as many laborers you need. Just that you can't do that. It's hard to get laborers to do the work. Our cuts is also a big that has done a big impact on our workers as well. They used to work at 6 days, now it's 5 days, 8 hours. Some of them tend to go and find a second job. Cost of living is pretty expensive in the county, so they have to find that second job to meet their needs. So for the award that was this lady, one of my crew leaders was nominated last year through this organization as Employee of the Year. So I think we recognize that our employees, the hard work that they do on a daily basis to keep us going. We also know, through that same program, we nominate our Employees of the Month to recognize the hard work they do as well. I myself come in contact with some of the activist groups last year during harvest, almost harassing our employees during harvest. They will come trespassing. It made it really hard to farm like that. But at the end of the day, our workers did not need them, and everybody, they kind of back off now because I think our community is very united in the industry. So I think everybody can speak for themselves. I don't think they need somebody to represent them, which is why now we're all in. So far, we're in a good term with our employees.
I have another question for you, Nicholas. Like the others next to you, you grew up in agriculture, and so can you speak to how the art and science of vineyard management is adapting to climate change and all the other pressures on doing business, and what the wine industry's direct contributions have been to our local economy?
Yeah, I think it's the so we have to adapt and try to change with the climate change. Farming as far as the canopy management, rootstocks, irrigation, leafing, all the stuff that we have to make a decision on how we used to do it, now how we're going to do it different, just because the weather has been, the weather is changing. It gets really hot every year, so we have to farm differently in that way. Irrigation is the same. We have to time it right so our fruit don't get cooked on the sun, or they don't turn into raisins. So so we use modern technology to help us. We have a moisture sensor out in the field, will tell us where is the moisture in the ground is, and if it's too low, we go ahead and irrigate. We don't just go and just pour water in the vineyards. We add the proper amount that we need. We know the vine needs. We use the pressure chamber, which also help us determine the vine stress water level. So, yeah.
Thank you. So I mentioned earlier that agriculture is a little over 10% of the greenhouse gas contribution in the U.S., and moreover, animal agriculture is about 4.5%. This is important to note because animal agriculture is often pointed to as the biggest contributor to climate change. And while it's a small percentage of the overall contribution, agriculture continues to do its part to protect natural resources, employ innovations, and create safe efficiencies while producing our communities, our states, and our nation's food supply. Jennifer, can you share some of the ways the local dairy industry has done this and can continue to do its part for natural resource and environmental protection?
Yeah, so I'll just give a little glimpse on our dairy. So we've actually been dairying in the Santa Rosa Basin for over 60 years, where now we dairy with 3 endangered flowers and in the tiger salamander habitat. We are able to graze. We actually rent 120 acres of state-owned land that was turned into Fish and Wildlife for tiger salamanders to graze that land so those salamanders and those flowers flourish. We have seen without grazing, they don't flourish. You don't see the gopher holes, you don't see those flowers. It gets taken over by unwanted species in those pastures. So that's what we've been doing. Plus, for the last 30 years, we have not pulled groundwater out of the ground to irrigate our pastures. If you drive through the Santa Rosa Basin, you will see irrigated pastures, and 99% of that is not coming out of the ground. That is coming from our city of Santa Rosa tertiary treated plant, where we have been utilizing their water to irrigate our pastures, recharge our aquifer, as well as create great grass for our cattle to graze on when they're out on grass during those spring, summer months. Hopefully that's very soon. Rain, we like you, but please go away. So those are some of the things we've done, but some of the things over time, as policy in California has changed, the dairy industry has to decrease their methane by 30% due to the 2012 numbers. So we have been very fortunate. We've got something called a California Alternate Manure Management Grant, where we put in a separator system and automatic scrapers, so we save time in our Bobcat scraper. That's less diesel fuel. We now utilize the separated manure back in our bedding, so that's less trucks on the road bringing in our sand that we used to use for bedding, and that solid manure is no longer sitting in one of our 7 manure ponds that we have on farm. That was our main pond, and so we've taken the solids out, which is the main methane creator, put that back into a composted form back in for the cows to lay on, and now we have this water that has great nutrients, and during the drought, we didn't even realize that we were able to utilize that water back on our field. So when we applied for the grant, that wasn't our intention, but during droughts, we had that extra water, put it back on our crop fields, and we were able to grow our silage and our dry hay. Some of the other things people have done are big digesters in the Southern Valley. That's part of the program, but the dairy industry as well as all of agriculture has definitely evolved how the policy has to make sure that we meet the needs that the California policy has asked for, as well as meet the needs of the environment. I just think those are some of the things we've done, as well as just continuing to change. We just put in, actually I forgot, it's so new, we put in our solar panels. That was all done by us. That'll run 98% of our dairy, so that's something that will be up and running shortly when PG&E gets out there. But we are evolving all the time to make sure we're meeting the needs, as well as being able to make sure we're, our business is running well as well.
Thanks. Jordan, along those same lines, what are some of the management practices employed by the poultry industry?
So the poultry industry, the majority of the birds are housed in a house with, in certain, like for us, my family, we've transitioned all outdoor access, so all the birds have access to the outside, except, I mean, right now the avian flu is an exception to it right now. But, so the birds actually use the restroom per se on the ground inside a deep litter system that is usually made up of wood shavings or rice hulls that come from the rice fields in the valley, and then at the end of life of the barns and everything, that material gets composted and then gets spread back on all of the local fields and local vineyards, which provides a great resource of organic fertilizers, because without that, there's not many places that can get the nitrogen, because chicken manure is rich in nitrogen. We also use very little energy, honestly. We're one of the last few people who have open-sided barns so the chickens get natural sunlight, and because of that, we don't have to have any fans ventilating any of the barns, which provides a beautiful atmosphere for the chickens, and we have almost no energy cost. The biggest energy cost we have, honestly, is keeping the eggs cold after they're laid, and for that we have solar panels everywhere, trying to mitigate that and reduce our impact on the climate.
Thank you. So the overall contribution percentage of animal agriculture is comparatively small, yet animal rights extremists are using this as a scare tactic and platform to encourage people to stop eating or using animal products. So this leads us to what is probably our biggest threat facing Sonoma County agriculture today. So you may have seen in the paper and come across some petition signature gatherers over the last several months, and they just recently submitted yesterday to Ms. Proto their signatures. And so what they're seeking to do, and this is a citizen initiative to amend the county ordinance for the purpose to protect the environment, animals, and the health and well-being of Sonoma County residents and communities by prohibiting the operations of CAFOs, concentrated animal feeding operations, as defined herein within the unincorporated areas of the county. That's taken directly from their summary statement. So who are these people? For the most part, this is being driven from organizations that are based out of Berkeley. They're not Sonoma County residents for the most part, though they have recently been garnering support and utilizing local residences to be the face and the publicity in the media, to be able to portray that it is a local initiative. And along those lines, coming from another area and just kind of having an agenda, they really had no regard for Sonoma County or its ballot election process, as they chose to submit all of these signatures the day before the election. So it was really more for publicity in that regard. They've been arrested and charged with trespassing and conspiracy to gather, and their leader was actually prosecuted here in Sonoma County. It's really important to understand that they do not fundamentally agree with animal agriculture. So they want everyone to live like them. And no matter what we do in animal agriculture and all the good that we do constantly and as we evolve, it's never going to be good enough, because they simply just want to eradicate animal agriculture. And it's important to note that in 2004, the FBI recognized the Animal Liberation Front and related extremists as a serious domestic terrorist threat, because it is a threat to our food supply. So what is a CAFO? What's a concentrated animal feeding operation? It's actually a designation by the US EPA by which appropriate regulations and oversight are employed to ensure protection of natural resources. So within this definition, the designation of a CAFO includes confinement for at least 45 days or more in a year. And there's different categories of CAFOs based on size, or there's a couple different nuances. When you get into smaller ones, there's a couple different nuances that have to be met to be considered a medium CAFO. In Sonoma County, confinement of animals in the winter months is done to offer clean, dry bedding, housing, and food to the animals while ensuring the protection of soil, pasture health, and natural resources. Our winter months include more than 45 days, so by that alone, we are considered a CAFO. So within this initiative, what they're looking to do is basically insert that definition from the US EPA into the ordinance. They've also added that the designation is created by a definition from the US EPA, but they've also added that a CAFO can be designated by a permitting authority. So that opens the door. There's a 3-year phase out. And the Ag Commissioner is being charged with enforcing this, but that also authorizes enforcement by any interested party. So again, we're opening a door. And the county is also being charged with retraining employees displaced by affecting businesses. So where you see those asterisks, basically that's county responsibility that's going to add to the budget that's going to fall on taxpayer shoulders. So what are some of the impacts? Just to get down to it, local family farms that have been producing for generations will go out of business, sitting before you today. Additional funding by the county is an impact. Reducing the availability of locally sourced, ethically raised animal products in Sonoma County, forcing local consumers, all of you, to buy from outside of the county or even the state, which also has climate implications. There's a trickle-down effect, which will also obviously affect processors, feed stores, veterinarians, all the local spending, and of course, just in general, the Sonoma County economy. It will restrict the diversity within our county, so it will limit the list that I showed you in the beginning. And this movement will take away your right to choose what is on your plate and in your glass. So with Sonoma County animal production, it's important to note that there's really growth limitations. If you look around our county and you see our topography, we don't have the ability to just vastly grow animal operations, animal feeding operations. There's an art and a science. And within that art and science, there has to be the ability to remain competitive within the market because we're competing with the entire state of California. So the answer to that call has been grass-fed beef, organic, access to the outdoors for chickens, all these different types of markets that consumers want, we're able to deliver that here from Sonoma County. I mean, we are unique. If you drive around the county, we're pretty blessed, right? If we look around this county and all that we have and our local food shed, the food that is produced here is pretty tremendous. I mean, we're really lucky to have that here in our backyard. And so we talk about local, but local really is in the eye of the beholder. We are kind of spoiled. Local is literally our backyard. Local for somebody in Alameda is Sonoma County, right? So put it in perspective. It truly is local. It's right here. We have a tremendous food shed, and the fact that facilities like this are still in business means they must be doing something right on all fronts. So through this campaign, our campaign, obviously, we are waging to combat this ballot initiative should it move forward, because we're still, obviously, it's sitting at the Register of Voters office. They still need to certify the signatures. But we're just gonna continue and plan on to combat this. So there's Sonoma's 3 that we're coming up with, and we didn't make this up. We just are highlighting the things that already exist. So animal welfare. All of our animal operations, for the most part, especially in dairy and poultry, all of them are third-party certified. So each facility is overseen by a third-party animal welfare organization that is able to give consumers a good faith and let consumers choose what kind of products they want to buy. Environmental sustainability. We're obviously committed to farming practices that are environmentally responsible. And we're aimed at preserving our natural resources for our planet, for the lives we live today, and especially for our future generations. And of course, local community. Local food that's high quality, offers diversity, economic contributions, and the beauty of our county. So, let's see, did I miss one? There we go. So we talk about misinformation and special interests, and we talk about social media. And social media can be a blessing and a curse depending on how it's used, right? So some of the misinformation that's being shared is, they use climate change as a hook and a claim that CAFOs are the leading cause of greenhouse gas emissions, which I just shared with you, that animal agriculture is only 4.5% of the total contributions of greenhouse gases in the US. They equate CAFOs to factory farms. So all the dairies, poultry operations, animal operations in Sonoma County, for the most part, they refer as a factory farm. So again, these are all local family farms, and they equate them to factory farms. They convey that this will only affect a small percentage of farms in Sonoma County. And so they have said it's only going to affect like 2%, which is about 60. Ironically, that's about the total number of dairy and poultry operations in Sonoma County. CAFOs are a driver of biodiversity loss. Jen just explained that they are a main contributor and main supporter and protector of the California tiger salamander with the grazing and practices that they do. And so messaging for them is always based on emotion, and I want to give you an example. So this is taken directly from their petition summary. There is overwhelmingly scientific evidence that animals have the ability to feel pain, fear, and stress, yet millions of them are confined and subject to inhumane treatment in CAFOs every year, including in Sonoma County. So we'll break that down. Start with a statement of science. Animals have the ability to feel pain, fear, and stress. Yep, I don't think any farmer or rancher is going to dispute that. And that's why animal welfare, putting your animals first, comfort, health, all of that for their animals is the top priority in their operation. And then they turn around and tug on the heartstrings and the emotions of the words confinement and inhumane treatment and equate that into CAFOs. So I have a word up here. Has anybody heard the word anthropomorphism? Does anybody know what that is? Basically equating an animal to human. So they've given a scientific statement, and now they're trying to equate. They want you to put your mind in an animal and think, well, I don't want to be confined, but yet. So do you see, the messaging is emotional. So the bottom line also is that they're not animal husbandry experts, and they have an agenda. So now I'm going to turn back to my panel, and they're doing really good at keeping their blood pressure down. Jordan, as a poultry producer, you have experienced direct attacks by this group. They've trespassed and misrepresented your operation to garner emotional attention and followers. Give us your take on this initiative.
Honestly, I'm sad that we're here today. It's, like Dana said, we are a county that is unlike many others inside the whole United States. We have a local food shed. We have Clover Sonoma. We have Petaluma eggs. We have, Petaluma was founded on eggs. We have all the vineyards. No one else has that anywhere. And we are seen as an easy target to start this group's initiative. I've had conversations with them many times. They've trespassed on our farm since 2014. A group associated with them has actually tried to light our chicken barns on fire, light our fuel island on fire. I mean, they are extreme. I mean, they are tactical, they are intelligent, don't get me wrong. They're well organized. But if you think Sonoma County is the problem, then don't eat anything what we all just ate today. Because this is the biggest not in my backyard argument in the world, and it's embarrassing that it's even coming here to Sonoma County. We were the first organic egg in the West Coast. We were doing cage-free. My dad started his business cage-free, and cage-free just became a national standard, or state standard in 2020, and he started in 1983. We are much more progressive than anyone else in the entire nation. We do things right, and we do things way above board. And we have 9 audits every year. That is 9. That's so 3 to 4 months of the year. We have an independent agency that we have no part in, that we have to pay, that come and check out our birds, check out our animals, check out what we're doing. So you can't get away with anything, and nor do we want to. We are proud of our animals. We are proud of everything we do. And this group is just using Sonoma County as a base to start their long-term goal, which is to take over and eliminate all of animal agriculture. I've asked them personally, I said, what is, in industry, you create a product or something else for a solution that you have, right? Apple created an iPhone to disrupt the phone industry, and it took off and went crazy, right? The consumer will choose. Let the consumer choose. Don't try and push an agenda that you guys have on that is less than 1% of the population with no solution. You ask them, what's the answer to this then? They have no genuine answer. If you had a full plan planned out, you know, I believe everything. Change is necessary, right? We evolve as a society, but this is not an evolve. This is just honestly an embarrassment to Sonoma County, and they are trying to take over our county. We are the community. You guys are the community, not this group out of Berkeley.
Jennifer, I would like for you to kind of put your 2 cents in and you know, with this threat, what does your future look like?
Honestly, our future is unknown. It's really scary because we have to wait till November if the signatures get solidified. What I didn't mention in my intro is there's actually a 5th generation. My nephew, he's going to be 13, and he has informed me that when he turns 18, he is taking over the dairy, and which is fine. No. So to think that that dream for him may not be there is actually very sad. If this ballot initiative was to pass, if it gets on the ballot, our herd would go from 300 milking cows to less than 199. And every time I drive by our dairy, even though our cows are inside right now due to the rain, because we have very, very stringent water quality rules, and we do not want to ruin our pasture, because as I drive around Sonoma County, that is what our dairies, that is what our beef industry, and even our poultry operations are based on letting their animals out. I drive around Sonoma County and I love seeing the cows out. Even right now, those beef cows that are out. And, you know, so it's hard to envision no animals around this county, because I will tell you there will not be animals in this county. You cannot survive on 199,000 pound animal units. The reason that we are able to survive at the 300 cow level right now is because we went organic. In 2006, my dad had a conversation with my grandpa and said, if we don't go organic, we need to sell the cows because we cannot compete with the rest of the California dairy industry. So the North Coast, Sonoma County, Marin County is very, very unique, and we were able to provide the consumer that organic niche at the time that it was needed. And so to see that now that's being almost victimized and we don't know our future is really sad, because that was our last straw for us. We've looked at maybe potentially doing an on-farm store, creating our own product, but that's a lot. And going through the permitting process, going through all the processes, everything, I don't know if we're really ready to go down that road. We've looked at it, we've looked at some grants, we're trying to figure out how to work around it. But there's still a lot to learn and still a lot to figure out. And then you think of our employees. As I mentioned, we've had 2 of them there for over 30 years. And how do you tell 2 of them that they no longer have a job? Because there won't be a job for them if this passes. So it's a lot of emotional, it's hard, to think about it. I try not to think about it. I don't even talk to my nephew about it because it's sad. But, we're going to fight the fight, and I'm going to tell our story. And by the time if it hits the ballot, our cows will be out, and everybody's going to see that Sonoma County is not CAFOs. Right now they have to be inside, but it's because we have very stringent water quality rules, and we don't want, to endanger any of our water supply going out of our dairy.
So I would say that, maybe this is my more opinion, but, well, it's really not. They want to eradicate animal agriculture, and this is just a step in that direction. I firmly believe that this citizen initiative for this particular effort was really pointed at the poultry industry, and the dairy industry is kind of a byproduct of that. And while we can have conversations back and forth with those who are trying to push this forward, they're going to defend that, oh, it's only going to hurt this group, it's only going to be a few today, because when this is done, they're going to move on, and pretty soon we're not going to have any animal ag if they have their way. So Nicholas, I'm curious. You're not in animal agriculture production, but you're obviously connected to Sonoma County agriculture. So what's your take on this initiative?
think it's pretty sad to think about it, you know, just imagine yourself like Jennifer was saying, that you drive out throughout the county. I tried, I'm a first-time dad, I had a baby. I go on the drive, I see animals, I would like to do the same thing for them in the future, you know. You drive the county, you see poultry farm, you see cattle, you see people that have goats and sheep out in the open. If you go on Highway 101 along the Batega Bay, you see all those animals in open space. It's pretty neat to tell them the story of what that animal is due to feed the rest of Sonoma County and outside of Sonoma County. I mean, the cows, the sheep, chickens, you know, they're there to feed the community, and if without them there, it'd be devastating. I mean, if we were to eliminate animals in the county, just imagine where the product has to come out somewhere, right? So to get on the shelves for us to get it, right? So if we try to help our climate change, you know, to reduce emission use, I mean, they have to import those products outside of the county. So it's going to take a lot of work to get here. So eventually we'll have to end up paying more for it if you don't protect it.
It's actually a great segue into this quote. This came from Jordan, and I know he's shocked I put it up here, but I thought it was well said, so I wanted to share it. This is an attack on all of Sonoma County, not just farmers. This group is coming from out of our area and trying to force their beliefs on our community. We must stand together as a community and support each other and our local food supply. So I hope you guys will let that resonate. So with that, I know there's probably a lot of questions. I don't know that we'll have time for all of them today, but I definitely wanted to share again that we are waging a campaign against this potential ballot initiative. We need everybody's support. We need endorsements. We need financial contributions. We need you to share the story. This is an attack on all of us, so hopefully we'll be able to garner your support. I know today was short. There's so much more we could talk about, so maybe another time, but for now, thanks for having us today.
All right, we're gonna open it up to questions in the room. All right, I'm gonna go Scott first. I'm gonna walk this way. I'm gonna work my way back here, guys.
Thank you for the presentation. What can our local elected officials do to support your efforts in combating this ballot measure?
Well, thankfully, there are several who have already conveyed their support for us and have offered to do just that. What can we do? So that's a great feeling, and we are appreciative of that. Obviously, endorsements, being vocal, being seen, in saying that this is bad for our county and recognizing exactly what this is and what it means. Sharing it out with not only their constituents, but their peers, and having them share it out. In doing this estimate of what to combat this campaign, and we all know everything's expensive, and for some of you this may not be a jaw dropper, for me it was, this is going to be close to a $2 million effort for us to appropriately combat this. This group has a lot of money backing them. They also have Hollywood backing them. So we're up against a huge fight. So we'll take any and all support, and we're very grateful for the many public officials that have already waged their support with us. Thank you.
A great presentation, very educational. So I'm kind of struck the juxtaposition between, you know, I know to get to feed the planet the way we have, there's been a lot of stuff going on that's not anything like what's going on in Sonoma County. And, you know, it seems like we do things a little differently here. You mentioned, Dana, that we're going to have to increase the food supply 70% over the next umpteen years to feed the planet. I'm guessing that if we did everything the way we do in Sonoma County, that wouldn't be possible. So give me sort of a global take on how food is produced globally and how we're going to meet those challenges when things like this are being attacked, and you know, what's the future of food supply, and what are the things that are unhealthy for us that are being done to increase our food supply, I guess.
That's outside my pay grade. to keep it simple, we talk about corporate farming. We don't like corporate farming. We know that's taking over. Family farms, local production, organic, niche, that's still important, right? Consumers are still needed for that. We have the ability to grow food. We have the ability to have more farmers. There's a lot of challenges and reasons why farmers are going out of business or they're shutting down between regulation, costs, threats such as these. And at the end of the day, we have a certain expectation of our farmers and our food supply and the way we grow food here in the nation, yet we rely on other nations also to supply us as well. That doesn't necessarily follow the expectations we have here. It's going to be a challenge, right? It's definitely going to be a challenge, and I think people are going to turn to lab-grown foods to say that that's the answer. To each his own. I personally am not on board with that. So it's a great question, and I think it's one that's going to have to be continuously discussed, and I think more people are going to have to become more involved in the conversation around food production and where our food comes and really understand what that means.
I can just add, I've been very fortunate to participate in a lot of young farmers and ranchers conferences throughout the United States as my role as president for Young Farmers and Ranchers for California Farm Bureau. And one of the neat things to listen to all the other industries throughout the nation and even in California. And so a lot of mechanization is going to happen. You're going to see more mechanization, more auto steering tractors to get that job done quicker. There's going to be quicker turnover in a lot of our, row crops. The other thing that we struggle with is, like Dana mentioned, is policy and the things that are put on us. It makes it harder for us to farm, and so that's why you're seeing farms go out of business. And then you're seeing that mechanization happen on those to try to turn that product around quicker. You see a lot of robotics in dairies in other countries and throughout the state to make that process quicker, get that milk to that creamery and so on. So I think there's a lot of differences, but I've been very fortunate to meet a lot of people that are dealing with this in other states and seeing the same thing and how are they going to grow their row crops, their almonds and so on faster to meet the need for our consumers.
So many questions, but I'd like to offer an answer to Scott's question about what could our local legislators do. As I was scanning the text of the measure that you had up there, I saw it applies to the unincorporated areas of Sonoma County. We have a model just to the south of us in the city and county of San Francisco. How long would it take us to incorporate the city and county of Sonoma? I know that's a stretch, that's a reach, it's outside the box, but what the hell?
I have a question. So I'm seeing these, sorry, I'm like right hiding from the camera here. I'm seeing this group at the Safeway, the Target, and they're showing these pictures and they're pulling at the heartstrings, they're asking for endorsements for signing the petition. How can we help show this picture and educate them and tell the narrative of how this would be devastating to our economy, our workforce, and the culture of Sonoma County as a whole? How can we do our part in telling this story?
Honestly, the majority of the people who are out in front of the Safeway and the Olivers of the world, in front of Target, most of them are, I want to be correct about this, a lot of them are being paid to be there and they're being volunteers and they have found something, a group to connect with, right? And they don't truly understand what the top is actually doing in their organization, right? They are firm believers in animal welfare and animal husbandry and what's best for animals, and so are we, right? They just have a different tact about it, and at the top of their group, it has a much more strategic long-term plan of like eradicating animal agriculture across the nation, right? The main leader of Wayne Chung, who has been charged in Sonoma County, also has pressing lawsuits in like 10, 12 other states. I mean, for trespassing, for all sort of myriad of other charges. And just going and telling people like, there is one farm here, I believe, that is a corporate farm, Petaluma Poultry, and they started out as a family farm for a very, very long time. And they just recently, in the past 5 or 10 years, maybe been acquired by permaculture because of all the costs associated with farming in Petaluma in Sonoma County. It's not cheap. I mean, if you could not start a dairy on your own, you could not start, I mean, even a vineyard, you could not start a vineyard on your own, you could not start a poultry farm. It's just, it's not possible. And there's a reason there's only 2 of us left really on any sort of scale. Because Sonoma County is just, the land is expensive, everything is very expensive, but it's also an idyllic environment, and there's a reason that Petaluma was the egg capital of the world. Before there was modernization of heat and electricity and all those things, where then they moved it right to where the grain source was, right where the corn in the Midwest, where they have very large scale barns, which are a necessity, honestly. Every consumer has a choice of what they want to buy in a grocery store, right? We provide a more moderate to upscale product for the Bay Area, and we are fortunate to have the Bay Area as a marketplace because many other places around the country do not care about what we believe in and what we put into our product, and it does make the product more expensive. So those other larger farms out in the Midwest, out everywhere, those are also necessities because you have to feed the population. There's not a more complete protein, complete source of food than an egg, to be honest, and fluid milk. I mean, every single person probably ate eggs here this morning. So yeah, like one of those pictures is of our farm. Is it perfectly clean, the outsides? No, my dad is the typical farmer and never got rid of old trucks, right? It does not look great. It is a constant struggle with my dad. And I'm like, let's get rid of these, let's get rid of these. But at the same time, it also takes a lot of time and effort that we do not have because we're busy dealing with the chickens. If you walk inside one of those barns, you will be amazed. And I would love to invite people to it, but right now we are very locked down, very scared for everything that we have. So an overhead picture and them telling a story. And the other thing I'd like to show is, right, imagine getting broken into your house in the middle of the night, right? They have a bird in a corner, scared out of its mind. I'd be scared. I'd run to a corner in the middle of the night when I get a light show and woken up in the middle of the night. Who wouldn't be? It's just, and they have all the birds cornered up, right? Do they ever turn the camera around and show you the 10,000 square feet behind them that's completely open and free and they can go over there? No, but they just show the corner. So it looks, an image is so easy to manipulate and tell people a different story. But turn around, see the rest of the barn. See the friable material on the ground. See the abundance of room, always being able to get feed and water. Our birds and dairy cows and everything, they have better lives than the majority of humans, honestly. They never have to worry about where their food and water comes from, whether they're going to be cold at night, nothing. They have none of the worries. A chicken, if it lays an egg, that means it's stress-free. As soon as an animal is stressed, they don't produce milk, they don't gain weight, they don't lay an egg. It is incredible. If you drop a big rock or something on top of a barn, you will have less eggs laid the next day because it scared them. You can't stress animals. They do not do it, and that is our livelihood. So we care about them more than anyone else in the world. Just want to make that clear.
I also wanted to you asked the question about what can we do, and so along with what Jordan was saying, it's easy to manipulate a picture, and that kind of goes back to my whole thing about social media as a blessing and a curse. They utilize their ability to manipulate pictures and they blast it on social media. We have to start telling our story. We need you to help us tell that story. We have to start combating the misinformation that's being put out there on account of their agenda. So if you ever have questions, find the source that you believe in and start helping share that story. Put it on social media. That's probably the most powerful way to efficiently get our message and our story out.
This question is for Jordan. This is a little bit out there. Is there any truth to the rumor that the avian flu was introduced by the activists?
There is some very circumstantial evidence to that. I cannot tell you yes or no. I have no idea. For myself, I really hope not. And for them, I really hope that the greater sacrifice of life would not be the solution to their problems. They are on a trail cam, breaking in 9 days before the first duck farm went positive. And so Yes, it's theoretically possible, but who knows? That they can actually tell via serology, which will probably come out in 4 or 5 months, if it was introduced by a wild bird, or if it was brought from one farm to the next, or if it was moved by the air. They have a fairly sophisticated way of typing it and figuring it out. So we will all know the answer at the same time when the USDA decides to release the information.
Well, thank you very much, Dana. That was amazing. So Dana, Nicholas, Jennifer, and Jordan, we really appreciate your time and energy. What Sonoma County does, Sonoma County Alliance does, is bringing people like this in front of you and the community to really see what's going on and what we're challenged with within different industries. So thank you for all your time and effort this morning. We really appreciate it. I'd also like to thank all the elected officials. We have the county clerk, recorder, assessor, Diva Marie Proto. We have Supervisor James Gore, Supervisor Linda Hopkins, Santa Rosa City Council Mark Stapp, Sebastopol Mayor, I believe, is Diana Rich? Did she make it?
She didn't make it today. We had
All right, tell her we said hi. All right, Roanoke Park City Council, Samantha Rodriguez, Healdsburg City Council, Ariel Kelly, Sebastopol City Council, Lisa Henry. So thank you all for coming. Hopefully you learned a little something extra, and again, to their point, thank you for everything you're doing to support the local family and farms. The one thing we can do is make sure we take this information, really push it out to the people you know, to our community. These local farms are so important to the future of our county. So again, thank you for everything you're doing. So next month, we got another dynamic GMM. We're going to talk about transportation. What makes transportation exciting? James Gore. Right? So thank you, James, for coming today, but thank you again for coming next month. We will hear about transportation issues, again, headwinds, issues, what's ahead of us. We're trying to be extremely relevant for the county with these general membership meetings every month. So again, we got transportation, we had AI last month, it's only going to get better. So please, look forward to the following months and what we're going to bring. Sonoma County Alliance is a membership organization, and we really rely on you for membership. So we want to thank you, thank the guests. If this was important to you, you enjoyed it, please become a member. That's how we grow, that's how we stay relevant, and to be honest with you, the growth of Sonoma County Alliance is really important. We always have brought great topics to the community. We have a lot of good people that sit on our committees. I would love to see younger folks get involved with those committees. So please bring the next people coming up through your organizations. Bring the next, family member, right? That's gonna start working the dairy when he turns 18, right? Those are the people we need here. We need to stay relevant. We need to be important. We need those new ideas of what's important to them. So with that, thank you very much, and we'll see you next month.
You